Imagine the following scenario. You need a new smartphone. Your old one is done. Maybe the battery is weak, the storage is full, or the camera is no longer up to date. But a new iPhone or a new Samsung Galaxy S model is way over your budget. $700 and up? Not really an option. So you look at cheaper alternatives. The new Galaxy A series seems reasonable. The new Galaxy A36 costs around $260. Solid mid-range, long software updates. But then you stumble upon an offer on eBay. A refurbished Galaxy S22 in a very good condition for about the same price. A former flagship that could compete with everything on the market 3 years ago. Now under 260 euros in Germany, where we are based. Sounds tempting, but what's better? A new budget phone or an aging flagship model? To find out, we bought them both and compared them closely. With the Galaxy S22, it's immediately clear that it's a used device. The packaging is missing, as is the original accessory. Instead, the smartphone comes in a plastic bag with a non-original USB-C cable. The S22 itself looks good at first glance, but there's some dirt on the edges. At first, we thought it was scratches, but it wiped off with a cloth. We can only find light signs of use around the USB-C port. Overall, it's still in good condition, just not very nicely packaged. With the Galaxy A36, brand new original packaging, everything freshly sealed. Let's start with the comparison. Both devices use Gorilla Glass Victus Plus for protection, but the S22 feels noticeably more premium. At 168 grams, it's significantly lighter than the 195 gram A36. The S22 also has much thinner and evenly symmetrical bezels, while the A36 has varying bezels width. It's not a big deal, but the S22 is visually more harmonious. Thanks to its thin and compact build, the S22 feels more comfortable to hold, especially for users with smaller hands. It has a metallic shiny aluminum frame that's well built. The A36 uses plastic, which naturally feels less premium. The back of the S22 also feels sturdier and less slippery. One advantage of the S22 is its smaller camera bump, despite having more powerful cameras. It's also IP68 certified, while the A36 only has IP67. This usually wouldn't matter too much unless your phone decides to go for a dive in the toilet. Both smartphones lack a microSD card slot, but there's a clear difference with the USB port. The S22 uses USB-C 3.2, the A36 only USB-C 2.0. The latter is much slower. The S22 can also connect to an external monitor and supports Samsung DeX desktop mode, making it viable as a kind of mobile workstation alternative. Both have an in-display fingerprint scanner, but they feel worlds apart. The S22 uses an ultrasonic sensor that works quickly and reliably. Even at awkward angles, our finger was always accurately recognized. The A36 uses an optical sensor, which is more sensitive to position and is slower overall. We had more failed attempts here. Face recognition is available on both. Both devices offer a 50 megapixel main camera on paper, but on closer inspection, there are big differences. In the default camera mode with 12 megapixels, photos look similar in good lighting, but in full resolution, the S22 delivers sharper and more detailed images. The image processing is also clearly different. The S22 produces more vibrant colors, better dynamic range, and overall better photos. The ultra-wide-angle camera is noticeably better on the S22 as well. The A36 delivers much softer, blurrier images. Edge details fade away, while the S22 performs better even in difficult lighting. The same goes for video with the ultra-wide. A36 looks mushy and low-res, while the S22 recalls sharp and smooth 4K footage at 60 fps. The difference is most noticeable with the zoom. The A36 has no telephoto lens and zooms digitally, losing lots of detail. The S22 has a real 10 megapixel telephoto camera, delivering a much better image quality at 2x and 3x zoom. The selfie camera also performs better on the S22. Skin tones look more natural, Details are clearer and the overall result feels much more true to life. RAW photos are only supported on the S22, which is a big advantage for photography enthusiasts. If you use Lightroom, you can edit and export RAW photos with the S22. This feature is missing on the A36. In videos, the S22 again offers the better package. 4K at 60 FPS, better stabilization, and sharper results make it the better video camera for YouTube and Instagram, and of course for parents who are filming their kids. The S22 can even record 8K footage at 24 FPS. That's quite impressive at this price. Both devices use an AMOLED display with 120Hz and Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. Still, the real-world difference is significant. The S22 is not only sharper but also brighter. In direct sunlight, the S22 display remains readable, while the A36 starts to struggle. Both phones have the same resolution, though the smaller screen of the S22 results in a higher pixel density, making text and images appear super sharp. Even though both smartphones have stereo speakers, the difference is clearly audible. The S22 offers more bass, gets louder, and sounds fuller in music, movies, and games. The A36 sounds fine, but don't expect it to blow you away. The Galaxy S22 is powered by a former Flagship Exynos 2200, a 4nm chipset with 8 cores, 8GB of RAM, and a fast UFS 3.1 storage. The A36 packs the now slower Snapdragon 6 Gen 3 and only 6GB RAM. It's further bottlenecked by slower UFS 2.2 storage. In practice, the performance difference is noticeable. Apps launch faster, animations run more smoothly, and multitasking works better on the S22. In Geekbench tests, the S22 scores about 60% higher in single-core, 20% higher in multi-core, and nearly 350% better in GPU. In the GPU test 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme, the S22 leads by almost 90%. Benchmarks suggest the S22 is the better choice for mobile gamers. Even in real-world scenarios like editing photos in Lightroom, the S22 performs much better. Exporting images is quicker and previews are smoother. Despite the S22's superior performance on paper, we were surprised in our gaming test. Fortnite at max settings runs at 55 FPS on the A36, but only 40 FPS on the S22, likely due to better optimization for the Snapdragon chip. As mentioned, the S22 has an Exynos processor from Samsung. In Genshin Impact, the S22 reaches a stable 60 FPS at highest settings, while the A36 is stuck at 40 FPS. In Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, the S22 scores 45 FPS, the A36 35 FPS. Overall, the S22 is the better choice for mobile gamers, though the real-world advantage is smaller than the benchmark suggests. The A36 also has a larger screen, which is more pleasant for gaming. A clear win for the A36 is battery life. With 5000 mAh, 45W fast charging, and a new battery, it impresses all the way. The S22 only has a 3700 mAh battery and 25W charging, which is quite weak nowadays. The S22 does support wireless charging though. In our YouTube test with Full HD video at max brightness, the A36 lasted 22.75 hours. The S22 only managed 9.5 hours. And since our S22 is used, the battery health is an extra risk factor. With used devices, you never really know how good the battery still is. Both devices run Android 15 and One UI 7.0. The difference lies in update support. The S22 is supported until 2027, the A36 until 2031. But we're somewhat concerned about the A36 6GB RAM. It already struggles during heavy multitasking. We think 8GB RAM should be the minimum for a modern Android phone, and the S22 delivers just that. So even if the A36 gets updates longer, the S22 might stay usable for longer due to better specs as apps and new Android versions become more demanding. Also, Samsung Galaxy desktop mode is only available on the S22. For productive work with an external monitor and keyboard, that's a big plus. Both devices support modern AI features like Circle to Search, Bixby AI, and AI photo editing, but not to the extent of a Galaxy S25, for example. The Samsung Galaxy S22 impresses with premium design, better camera, stronger performance, better display, and wireless charging. It still feels like a flagship, even more than 3 years after its launch. The battery life is very weak though, and that will be the case with any older smartphone. The Galaxy A36, on the other hand, is a solid mid-range phone with excellent battery life, longer promise support, and bigger screen. It doesn't have the greatest performance, but the new battery and a long support period make a great case for it. This is definitely the safer, more worry-free option between the two. Ultimately, the decision depends on what you value more: better performance, better cameras, more features, or longer battery life and longer support. And this is almost always the trade-off when choosing between a used flagship and a new budget phone, no matter the brand. By the way, replacing the battery in the S22 would cost around $80. That would bring the total cost to the price of an A56, which has a slightly better camera, an aluminum frame, and a better processor than the A36. The S22 still has the telephoto lens and slightly better performance as an advantage. If you want to keep your phone for a long time, we would recommend the Galaxy A56. But here in the tutorial team, we'd all rather go with the S22, mostly because we're nerds who upgrade their phones every 2 to 3 years anyway, so long support isn't as important for us.